I've been a student of the Bible for a long time, studying and searching for the truth. As a Bible teacher in the United States, I've been asked if Israel's United Kingdom really existed. Were the first kings of Israel real? Are the biblical narratives of events like David and Goliath accurate? My name is Jeremy Dehut, and I've met up with Barry Britnell, a seasoned traveler and close friend. He's been to Israel close to a dozen times, and he'll be my guide on our journey through this country. We're going to talk to experts in the field of archaeology and examine the geography, comparing everything to what the Bible says.
We're going to be able to visit a number of places that have bearing on the United Kingdom. I think we should begin our journey where the scriptures begin. The story of the United Kingdom begins at Shiloh.
Did Shiloh exist? Was it a real place? Does it match the location of the biblical text? Does the function of the city serve the same function that it did in biblical text? Was it a holy site? Were sacrifices offered there? Those are all questions that I think can be helped by the study of archaeology.
Back in the 1980s, Israel Finkelstein led an Israeli dig here, and you can see the work that they did exposing the big fortification wall that surrounds the entire perimeter. What we have done is take his work, and on the other side of us, the work that the Danish did in the 1920s and 1930s, and we're connecting the two.
Now, the Tabernacle supposedly was here for several hundred years. Do you have any places here at the site where you think it stood?
It's all about the Mishkan, which is the presence of God, and I think it answers that most basic of all human questions, like how do I connect with God? The tabernacle gives us a way to do that, and this is why it's so critically important. And in the center of it is the Ark of the Covenant. These are the main ideas. Was the tabernacle on the northern platform outside the city wall? Was it on the summit, the apex of the tell? Number three, it could have been on the southern approach. There's 4 churches on the southern approach. Well, the Christians seem to really like the idea of the tabernacle being there because they're building their churches there on that spot. May have also been functional. It's very flat and it could have fit over there. Now, I've introduced a 4th possibility, and that's that the tabernacle may have been mobile at Shiloh. That it was not in one spot. By its very nature, it's mobile.
Right.
They are slaughtering a large volume of animals. Certain times of the year, if you've got the tabernacle set up, say, down here, and the wind is blowing this direction, it's just going to be unbearable and not hygienic. Maybe seasonally, the tabernacle is moving around Shiloh, so it's not that one side is sacred, maybe the whole side is sacred.
And are you finding evidence for Israelite presence on this site during the Iron Age when Samuel was supposed to have been here?
Oh, absolutely. We've got abundant evidence of that. You see a transition here from the Amorites who dwelled, sometimes we say Canaanites, but in the hill country, they're Amorites actually that were living here. In some ways, you can see that a different ethnic group or a different theological persuasion has come in. Do we see a shift in the material culture? Do we have Hebrew inscriptions and writing? Yes, we do. So there's no doubt that in the period of the tabernacle, that there were Israelites at Shiloh. We're just inside this 5.5 meter wide perimeter wall that went all the way around the site. And what we have are storage rooms that are built against this. What we're after is an understanding of the stratification of our site. And you can see the separation where we've got a lot of tumbled, crumbly, grayish material into a brownish, reddish soil down to about right here. So that's about a 10-inch spread. Now we know we're changing time periods. Something definite happened right here. We're reading the block. What we believe is that this represents the Iron Age right here. This is the period of the tabernacle at Shiloh. We've got late bronze, middle bronze underneath this layer, and Hellenistic and Roman above this layer. Kind of trim the block so that you get a better look at it. When I do, we're gonna lose this piece. So now we can get a good look at that. That's been worked, hasn't it?
That is so light.
So that's clearly man-made. It's pumice. So put it in our finds bucket right there. As we trowel through, there's a nice piece of pottery.
Looks like a rim.
So this is a whole mouth vessel. This looks like it's from the Iron Age, probably Iron II. Now here's a bone.
What type of animal bones are you finding here and in what quantities?
We found 2 to 3 times the quantity of animal bone here at Shiloh in season 1 than we have found at our other excavations. And I think that's, we've got good reason for that.
Yeah.
We have an ancient text, the Bible, that indicates that there was a cultic site that operated a sacrificial system here. There was a massive favisa or bone deposit in area D over here on the east. Only bones from the biblical sacrificial system within that bone deposit. And interestingly, we get about 1% pig bone. In the pre-Israelite period, it's 4%. And then when you move into the Israelite period, it's 1%. That's a significant drop.
Yeah.
And so again, that's an ethnic indicator that there's a change in who's living at the site, or at least their value systems or their cultic understandings have changed. So the bones are very interesting to us. Okay, that's charred pottery, that's good. We've got the naked eye of the trained volunteer. Then we have a metal detectorist checking. Now we're checking a 3rd time. Then it's going to go through wet sifting for a 4th time. We found that when we dry sifted things, many times you could have something as important as a scarab that still looks like a clod of dirt. And when you wash it with a hose, wow, you realize the things that you've been missing. Maybe we're gonna have markings on here. Yeah, we're already seeing grit. We could have Hebrew lettering on here. You can already see, look at the difference between the pottery that we've washed and what we haven't washed. So it's popping. Sometimes we're wanting to do analysis, so I want to double check everything before we publish it. So we'll take something like this, for example, and when we get in the lab, we'll look at it under a microscope, and I have a feeling I'm seeing part of a Hebrew letter there. But I'm not sure it could be a random marking, so I want to get it under a microscope. So let's pull out these pieces, and when we're in the lab, we'll analyze them more closely and see exactly what we've got.
The development of the central place of worship for the Israelites through the United Monarchy is an important thing to follow. And I think the text implies that Shiloh was actually destroyed by the Philistines after the death of Eli and his sons and the loss of the ark. The central place of worship started there, and then it moved. I was thrilled just to go to the site.